All right, let's do this. We just got an urgent message from the IRS. You have to register today if you're a veteran or a Social Security beneficiary in order to get that stimulus. That's right, today. It's time for your economy and stimulus update for Wednesday. Now, on today's show, the question, when will veterans and people on Social Security and Social Security disability get their stimulus money? Well, guess what? You need to act today. We'll explain that in a minute. And what the heck is a small business anyway? And why are so many large companies getting bailout money when all these small companies are struggling? And will you be getting an additional $2,000 a month from a second stimulus? All right, we'll get to all three of those stories. But first, an urgent message we just received today from the IRS and the Treasury Department for all of you waiting on Social Security or SSDI or veterans payments for the stimulus. Now, I heard from many of you who are frustrated that you haven't gotten this info on this. So let's do this. Let's dive deep. Now, I did cover this in a few of my videos where I mentioned the IRS would be sending out these payments electronically, automatically, during the first batch of direct deposits. Now, that is still true, but they just issued an urgent warning today. Now, the Internal Revenue Service and the Treasury Department are telling you right now, you have like a short amount of time, that they are sending an urgent message out to 3 groups in particular that need to take immediate action to make sure that they get their complete stimulus payments, not just the $1,200, but if you've got children, Social Security beneficiaries, Railroad Retirement beneficiaries, and Veterans Affairs VA beneficiaries. The IRS is asking taxpayers in these situations to register their eligible dependents no later than noon. That didn't give us a lot of time, or you might not receive their additional $500 per child payment until they file their 2020 tax return early next year. So today, the 22nd of April, you have to get these registered. Payment for these children aren't automatic. The IRS, in conjunction with other government agencies, has gone to great lengths to ensure that those government benefit programs can receive their $1,200 stimulus payments without having to do anything, right? So that should come without an issue. This includes receiving Social Security retirement, survivor disability benefits, SSDI, railroad retirement benefits, or supplemental security income, SSI, and Veterans Affairs benefits, all of those categories. Now, in most cases, the payment will come automatically, even if these people weren't required to file a tax return in 2018 or 2019. The payment is scheduled to be distributed in the same manner as you get your regular benefits, either via a direct deposit into your bank account or by a check, okay? So you shouldn't have to do anything. Unfortunately, if you haven't filed a tax return before, the government has no way of knowing if you have children. So they have no way of knowing. And you might qualify for that additional $500 in additional stimulus payments. So this means action has to be taken immediately. Potential recipients may be forced to forgo this additional stimulus payment intended for children until next year. You'd have to file it next year, get it on your taxes. But here's what to do right now if you fall into the above categories. The IRS and the Treasury Department are asking you to take immediate action to ensure that you receive this additional stimulus payment intended for your children this year, okay? Here's what you need to do right now if this is you. Head over to irs.gov and click on the Non-Filers Enter Payment Info Here tab, okay? It's right here on the screen. Then follow the prompts to enter the following information. You need to put in your full name, your Social Security numbers for each family member, your current mailing address, your bank account information, including the type of account. If it's a checking account or a savings, you need to put in your routing number and your account number. Don't confuse those two, okay? Those that receive benefits via Direct Express should leave that area blank, okay? Finally, the IRS noted that if you do receive SSI or VA benefits, you'll have slightly more time to enter your information because these stimulus payments are scheduled to be made at a later date. So again, if you received SSI benefits, your stimulus payment is currently scheduled to be processed in early May, while eligibility for those receiving compensation and pension C&P benefit payments from the VA, that is still being determined. So you have a little bit of extra time if you're SSI or VA. Okay, whew. Got it. All right, next story. What the heck is a small business? And why were so many people mad at Shake Shack and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for getting stimulus money? Well, first of all, a small business is a company with fewer than 500 employees, right? But that's a bunch of garbage because they're playing a game here. These are massive companies, but guess what? They sneakily managed to claim that each individual location of their restaurant is classified as a small business so that they could qualify for these loans. Shake Shack, Ruth's Chris, and a bunch of others. Guess what? Well, the loan program ran out of money last week. So there were thousands of small businesses that didn't get any loans because these guys swooped in and snapped it up. And those other small businesses actually really needed that money. But at least Shake Shack got the message, the outrage. That's just one of several large restaurant chains that got federal loans through the coronavirus stimulus law that was meant to help small businesses. Now, they announced on Sunday night, good for them, Shake Shack, they're giving back all $10 million that they borrowed, okay? The New York-based burger company is among more than a dozen companies with annual revenues in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said he's glad they're giving this money back. Listen.
I will comment, there have been some big businesses that have taken these loans. I was pleased to see that Shake Shack returned the money. We will be putting out some FAQs. There is a certification that people are making. And I ask people, just make sure the intent of this was for business that needed the money. We'll put out an FAQ. But again, the intent of this money was not for big public companies that have access to capital.
That's great news, but the damage may already be done, as there are boycotts popping up with people saying that they're going to boycott Shake Shack and these other companies that took this money and that pulled this stunt. So what would you do? Are you going to boycott? Let me know in the comments if you plan to do that. I'll read your comment. Now, I love Shake Shack. They're delicious, but that's a sneaky move. Now, the Treasury Secretary did go on to say that more than 1 million small businesses with less than 10 employees have received aid already from the PPP program. That's great news, but thousands more still got nothing because it ran out of money, thanks in part to these larger companies swooping up all this cash. All right, but we got to blame the Treasury on this too, because it was a bungled mess. Banks didn't know what they were doing. We talked to a number of leaders at different banks, Wells Fargo and others, who said, we're not ready for this. It was a total mess. Yes, so there's enough blame to go around. But we are very close to a new PPP program being approved by Congress, so we should soon see a second batch to help small businesses. Fingers crossed. All right, next story. Will you be receiving $2,000 a month for 6 months as part of a second stimulus plan? Many of you were excited about this. I was excited about it, and I think it would be huge to help millions of people. Well, despite what you may have read and heard, there is not a $2,000 a month stimulus check coming anytime soon. I know people were waiting on this. I've been getting emails about it. Well, here's what you need to know. The CARES Act, which is the $2 trillion stimulus package to help Americans that was already passed at the end of March, that was a one-time check for $1,200 per person, $2,400 for married filing jointly tax filers, plus an additional $500 for each child. However, there's been some confusion about a new congressional proposal for this second stimulus plan that would potentially give you $2,000 a month or more for at least 6 months. Importantly, this is only a proposal, not a law. So it's important to understand that what a proposal is and the difference between it actually being passed by Congress. It could impact you and your family if you don't understand this. So let's dispel these myths and set the record straight so you're fully informed on this. Remember, we told you the other day, Congressman Khanna and Representative Tim Ryan of Ohio have introduced new congressional legislation, the Emergency Money for the People Act, to provide $2,000 per month to Americans who have been impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. Now, if this was passed by Congress, then what would happen is the federal government would continue monthly cash payments to eligible Americans until employment returns to pre-pandemic levels. So when will that be? But right now it's only a proposal. It doesn't exist, and there's no $2,000 check being sent out to anyone. The only one you should be getting is the first one, which is $1,200 for single people, $2,400 for married couples. So we're going to keep our eyes on Congress, and if this passes, we will let you know right away. Now, I want to tell you about how to get some free money right now. You got to head on over to our link in our description to Webull, okay? It's a free account that you can set up. It's a stock-based account, but all you have to do is open the account and they will give you free money. They will deposit stock in your account for free, up to $1,400. I know many of you have taken advantage of this program. You've emailed me and said you got your free stocks. That's fantastic. So you get one free stock just for opening the account for free. There's no charge. even if you never do anything with the account. You could get the free money and then just close the account. That's a no-brainer. So use the link below to get your free stock. When you open the account, they'll give you one free stock, and then when you deposit $100 in the account, they'll give you another free stock valued up to $1,400. That's free money, folks. And then, like I said, if you never do anything with the account, transfer the money back to your bank and you got free money. That's Webull. So check it out. It's the stock account that I use. So the link will be in the description below to get some free money. I know we're all looking for some free money right now to help us through these trying times. So Webull reached out to me and they said, hey, tell your audience about how they can get some free cash right now. All right, there is your economic stimulus update for Wednesday. Remember, veterans and SSI and SSDI and Social Security beneficiaries, go right now to irs.gov and plug that information in so you get that additional $500. All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow.